Okay, we are asked to complete the square here. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to kind of rearrange this a little bit. Because remember, we want the constant alone, and they didn't do that. Instead, they put the wrong one over there. So I need to move it. So I need to subtract 6x. So I'm going to get this minus 6x minus 3 equals 0. So I move this over. Now I've got to move this over. So I'm going to add 3. So I'm really just flip-flopping those two places. Okay, so now this is set up, but the other thing that we have to be wary of is that this leading coefficient needs to be 1. So I'm going to divide everything by 6. So I get x squared minus x equals 1/2. Okay, so this is where I am right now. Then what I'm going to do next is I need to know what my b is. My b in this case, it's not written in here, but remember there's really a 1 here. So I need half of -1. So then half of -1 is -1/2. So x squared minus x, okay, plus -1/2 squared. Okay, well, what's -1/2 squared? Well, it's positive 1/4. So 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. The two negatives cancel each other out. So on this side, I'm writing it this way because I want to remember what this half of b was, because I'm going to need it here in a minute. But over here, I just did the math because I'm just adding those in. Now we've set up a perfect square binomial. So this is kind of the point where you're watching the magic trick and you watch the magician just pull that tablecloth out and you're like, it's magic. Well, it's magic he worked really hard to set up. Same here. Because you worked really hard to set this up, this becomes this. Whatever this is comes down here. We set up a perfect square binomial, and this term here will come down here. And that we just pulled the tablecloth up. Perfect magic trick. Over here, I need to add this. This is going to get 3/4. Now you can do this if you want, or if you're a baker, you can do that in your head. Then I'm going to take the square root of each side. So then I get x minus 1/2 equals the square root of 3 over 2 plus or minus. So I took this is always plus or minus, I divvied up the square root, so then the top stayed the square root of 3, but the bottom became 2, because I know what the square root of 4 is. Now I'm going to set up two equations. Equation 1 is my positive version, and equation 2, this is my negative. So this is just like those absolute value equations we're used to. Then I'm going to solve each one of them. So I get 1/2 plus the square root of 3 over 2, and over here 1/2 minus the square root of 3 over 2. Or I can clean this up a little bit. This is 1 plus the square root of 3 over 2. This is 1 minus the square root of 3 over 2. And often we'll see this written as 1 plus or minus the square root of 3 over 2. I'm perfectly happy with this answer. I will tell you my Math Lab expects you to write the two different answers separated with a comma. That's one of the reasons I went through all the steps. As you get practice with this, you can probably get from here straight to here, and that's fine. Just be aware that for my Math Lab, you will need to separate them out. So your steps, first of all, make sure you're in the proper format. That means you want the constant isolated, so you might have to rearrange like we did. You want a equal to 1, so you might need to divide like we did, okay? Then you are going to set up your magic trick, okay? You're setting up your perfect square binomial, and you are going to find half of b. Keep the sign, okay? So 1/2 of b in this case is 1/2 of -1, which is -1/2. Then I square it, okay? Put the answer after it's been squared over here, but this is the same thing. -1/2 squared is 1/4. Same thing, because I can only ever add the same thing. Then my magic trick happens. My perfect square binomial, I really just factored this, guys, okay? You could factor it every time if you want, but if you set it up right, it's always going to factor this way. And whatever this 1/2 b term was, it's what's going to be down here. These are going to match, okay? And the other side I just added. Then I took the square root of both sides, and then this was just cleaning up, working with the radicals to clean it up.